Vesterville is a contemporary family home set within a Heritage Victoria listed residence of state significance. It was built in 1859 for Victoria's first Attorney General, Sir William Stawell. Designed by Knight and Kerr, the architects of Parliament House, this was their only residence and was designed in the classical revival style. When we approached this project, that we felt that the adaptation of a building of such significance and grand architectural detail deserved a response that was contemporary and bold in its approach, with its own identity within the heritage architecture. One of the key challenges in this project was that all the heritage fabric had to be retained, and the work that we undertook was required to be reversible. Our project was largely contained within the existing footprint. We move to some existing photos. So clearly a very grand house. Whilst these front rooms were very intact, they were quite austere and unwelcoming. With the most recent renovation done in the 1990s to the northern wing, underwhelming and subservient to the architecture. This 1990s renovation also had added some faux period detailing to the building's exterior. Our client's brief was for a contemporary home, which was both internally rationalised, and which both internally rationalised the scale of the existing house, whilst addressing the disconnection between formal and informal areas. There was basically so many lounges they didn't know what to do with them. Externally, a key component of the overall project was to celebrate the house within its street context and encourage visitors to use the original front door to the house. We removed a high fence and dense vegetation, and through the addition of a large forecourt, the pathway to the formal entrance is now much more accessible to visitors and guides them to the formal part of the house. The front rooms to the bottom of the screen were largely intact, with grand proportions and ornate details. The area in blue was originally a service wing, so numerous additions and alterations over the past 160 years had gradually eroded some of the original heritage fabric in the northern parts of the house. The most severely compromised was the northern service wing, with much of the original detail removed. As such, significant work was undertaken in this area, and a design language created which we integrated at multiple moments throughout the house. The clients now have a mix of predominantly informal areas of more intimate scale in this part of the house. The entry to the building had been somewhat neglected over the years, due largely to its orientation becoming irrelevant as parcels of the original house lot were sold off over the past 100 years. Most visitors entered via the service wing. Our clients were keen to once again celebrate this formal entrance. At some stage the door had been painted red. Whilst it's not original, we liked the idea that it gave a hint of something more interesting beyond. This previously imposing entrance is now softened through fresh white paint and soft furnishings. We used new lighting to change the scale of these spaces as well, and modern furniture and artwork to give the house a more contemporary feel. Stepping through the vestibule is where the house begins to transition into a contemporary home. In the former service wing on the ground floor, a series of dark blue arches provide a contemporary interpretation of the ornate plaster arches of the formal entry and vestibule. Throughout this area, dark blue painted walls identify the areas where most intervention has been made, whilst also creating spaces of a more intimate scale. In this long sequence of spaces, we undertook a realignment of the northern wall to remove the lumps and bumps of previous additions. Additionally, through here, a shadow line skirting at 400mm high directly referenced the detailed skirtings at the front of the house, creating a dialogue between the modern intervention and the heritage architecture. The kitchen is now at the centre of the house. Steps in the existing wall created the perfect nook for a steel frame bar unit, whilst the steel unit on the right-hand side actually conceals a heritage doorway through to the front of the house, integrating this existing opening into the new design. Steel shrouds were used along with bluestone thresholds to mark the transitions between the intact rooms and the spaces where we have intervened. Large steel shrouds form a series of openings from the northern wing onto the garden. The fine black steel detail steel shrouds and doors provide a contrast to the heavy bluestone architecture and are intentionally contemporary in their appearance. Other faux external elements were painted black to diminish their significance. On the first floor, distinct zones have been created for our clients and their teenage children. The northern wing is dedicated to the children's bedrooms and en-suites, whilst the western side was transformed into a large master suite. There are also additional guest bedrooms and a bathroom on this level. As part of the palette of materials, steelwork extends throughout the interior with steel frame joinery details appearing in the kitchen and bathrooms. Where new interior work directly encountered original heritage details, we sought to integrate these into the design. A key example is in the master ensuite, where instead of concealing an original heritage door that could not be removed, we integrated it into the design. Hidden within the front garden was a World War II air raid shelter that was being used as a water tank. This was repurposed as a cellar. D'Esterville is now a warm and comfortable family home that celebrates its past while adapting to the requirements of contemporary living. We believe that much of the success of this project lies in our resolution of a checkered history of renovations and the clarity of design intent that the new works provide. I'm finished.